Social distancing has been recognized world across as a preventive measure, and then special sanitation effects like these activities can definitely lead to prevention of the spread of this disease. Of course, there will be impact of this pandemic on the economy and the government, Reserve Bank, and even IBA. We are thinking through it. We have already given certain recommendations to the Reserve Bank also.
Hello and welcome to India Podcast. I am Akhil. We are in the midst of grief crisis, and with the government being proactive and taking steps to secure our nation and our health, few essential services being in operation mean that our fellow citizens like our bankers are at work at the cost of their health. The Indian Banking Association has made an appeal for assuring essential services to the customers. To detail more on the working methods of bank during the next few days or weeks, I have with me the Indian Banking Association CEO, Mr. Sunil Mehta. Thank you so much, Sunil, sir, for giving that time to our listeners here. There's a complete panic in the country, rather it's a global crisis that has come around, but banking services, they are considered the essential service, and Indian Banking Association led by you has given out this message strongly that they're there for the customers. How are you working to help the customers in this troubled time, complete lockdown in the state and country around?
Indian Bank Association has proactively interacted with all the MDs of the banks on the 16th of last month to create a contingency plan to face any eventuality that may arise out of the COVID-19 pandemic. Based on those deliberations, we have created some initial advisories which we have already released into the media, and those advisories regarding do's and don'ts for the public. For example, wash your hands before you do any manual banking transaction, or go to the branches only when it is very necessary. Otherwise, try to do it by alternative delivery channels like digital banking. So these advisories have already been released in the public interest by public media. Secondly, we have also issued an advisory to the various banks to prepare a contingency plan to face out these situations. The contingency plans include staggering the duties of the people wherever the complete lockout is not there, and in the event of complete lockout, then how to create a mechanism that, because the banking services is also treated as an essential service, so locally in consultation with the district administration, they can decide that what are the branches which has to remain in open. Then those branches which has to remain in open, the employees can be provided with a special transportation facility as well as their passes allowed by the local state governments, which will allow them to enter into the premises and do their activities. Similarly, the greater plan is to be prepared for the backup offices like centralized back offices for different type of transactions, then the CPS offices where they have to put some people on rotation so that in case of any requirement for an isolation or any quarantine, then the team which is in reserve can work on these locations. So some advisories have already been given to the member banks, and all the member banks are already working on it to cope up with the situation. But of course, in the event of complete lockdown, if there is no transportation available, the services will definitely may not be available to the full extent, and that is what we wanted to say.
Sir, do you fear that it is going to be a demonetization two-phase? How will you manage the panic, especially when people might just line up for banking service queue, cash withdrawal as the situation comes in control or the containment begins to happen?
Actually, it's altogether a different situation. At that point of time, it was an exchange of notes, and that was to happen only at the counters. Now, in the event of a knockdown in particular area for a COVID, the options are available to the public in the form of they can always go to the ATM and withdraw the money. So as soon as the lockdown is over, they can go to the various delivery channels and can withdraw their money. They can even do today by transfer of their funds by internet banking solutions and the other alternative solutions. So these options are available, which were not available because it was only related to currency. Now money can flow in any form. Debit cards are there, credit cards are there, wallets are there, then there is internet banking is there, funds transfer can happen, and a limited amount of cash can be withdrawn from the ATMs also, and bankers will definitely do their best to maintain these services.
So any special access to help the senior citizens have been arranged?
Now, access for senior citizens like banking services, as you know, we are also governed by the state rules and guidance. So wherever they say there is a complete lockout, then it is beyond our purview to organize any such thing. There the state governments will have to formulate some systems, and we can open few branches in consultation with them to meet out their requirement. So that is a contingency plans the bankers will be preparing in consultation with the local administration and the state governments.
So, one message that you have for the countrymen who are being brave and cooperative in this rare pandemic situation we are all new and dealing with.
Everybody has responded very positively to the Janata curfew announced by Honorable Prime Minister. If you see the position on the street, I think they're all deserted. There is hardly anybody walking on the streets. I can see it in Mumbai. And so if that type of solidarity and understanding is executed by the Indian citizens, then these activities can definitely lead to prevention of the spread of this disease. Because social distancing has been recognized word across as a preventive measure, and then special sanitization effects like washing hands for 20 seconds by soap before and after touching the external surfaces. If these two things are followed religiously by the people, the way I think the country will be in a very good position to control this endemic.
And the last thing, how will banking sector now prepare itself from the learning of this grave situation, especially from disaster planning perspective?
Well, of course, there will be impact of this pandemic on the economy and the government, Reserve Bank, and even IBA. We are thinking through it. We have already given certain recommendations to the Reserve Bank also. First thing which we have requested for is a 6 months deferment of the installments with a consequential extension in repayment period for 6 months, so that all those deferred installments are not overloaded on the subsequent installments. So there is a deferment of 6 months in repayment period also. The second recommendation is allowing 90 days additional time for the working capital loan availing borrowers in the time of extension in time for regulation of their account, which is the present is at 91 days. So the account is not regularized within 91 days, then it slips into the NPA category. Now we have requested RBI to follow a forbearance for 181 days. Okay. So 181 days will definitely give them another 90 days window to regularize their account in case their fund flows are stuck because of this COVID. And this will be available across the various segments. The third thing we have asked for is increased liquidity in form of reduction of CRR by 1% point. Then the fourth thing which we have asked for is basically providing some regulatory forbearance in reporting timelines, because some reporting timelines may also get affected because employees are not available with corporates as well as with the banks. So some of the data which are to be collected, compiled and submitted may get delayed. So the reporting timeline, some relief can be provided. And simply we also requested for extension of a 6 months time for the corporates which are undergoing resolution plan in terms of June circular of the RBI. So these dispensations, if given, at least will give a greater relief to the entire industry across the board, and then the banks can themselves work out plans for a specific sector, and then accordingly they will be able to provide relief.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving that confidence to the customers and the listeners today when everybody is together fighting the people war, to say so, and bankers have really stood by everybody to give that support. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Anku.
The after effect of coronavirus is going to be of larger concern for the financial institution. Working towards it, Indian Banking Association has already put in some recommendation of relaxation to the RBI. Whether the relaxation will come by soon and what benefit it shall offer to the customer at what cost is to be seen. Stay safe and stay indoors is the only message the Banking Association has for all. That is all in this episode. Stay tuned for more.